Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Kelly Funk, RSPA President and CEO.
Welcome to Dallas and RetailNOW 2016. Are you prepared to connect? Are you ready to embrace the future? It's a tall order, I realize, when you've just taken your seat. Over the next few days, you're going to have many words thrown at you. You'll hear and see words like change and trusted and innovate, and those are great words. But it's one thing to think about or even say you're ready to embrace the future, that you're ready for change, that you're innovative, but it's another thing entirely to do it, to take it back to your business and make it happen. Take the word innovate, for example. Our industry has heard the word innovate so much over the last few years that I think it's starting to lose its meaning. At a time when ingenuity and thinking differently and being open to new ways of solving problems is more important than ever, the very word that encapsulates all of that feels overused. So instead of talking with you this morning about innovation or change, I'd like to talk to you about a new word: disruption. Disruption. It's supposed to sound intimidating and powerful, and it is both when I'm not saying it. It can be something that happens to you, that disturbs you, that interrupts you, or you can be the one that takes it and causes it. Be the one who takes the situation and shifts it. Our industry's been doing it for years, and certainly many of you have experienced it firsthand. Yet no matter what industry you study, disruption is not new, and it is definitely not going away. I mentioned it's not new. You can look back to the early 1900s when a man named Joyce Clyde Hall was trying to pull himself out of abject poverty by selling penny postcards from a shoebox. He saw a situation. People wanted to send messages, but often couldn't come up with the words to say. His disruption was simple. He started pre-printing messages on colorful cards, and the result was Hallmark, and the entire greeting card industry was born. In the 1970s, Lowell Paxson was the owner of a failing Florida radio station. He had a potential advertiser who had a product, which happened to be avocado green can openers. Remember that 1970s avocado green? But no money to pay for on-air advertising. Yet Paxson needed those advertising dollars to keep the station afloat. So his disruptive move? To have one of his radio talk show hosts sell the can openers live during the show. The result was they sold out the inventory in 1 hour, and the Suncoast International Bargainers Club was formed, which ultimately became HSN, Home Shopping Network. But let's look at a disruption a little bit closer to our wheelhouse, one that didn't spawn an entire industry like those other two, but rather one that has continued to evolve over time, embracing innovation and leveraging it to their advantage and to the customer's delight. This story starts right here in Texas, just about 2 hours west in Cisco, where there was a small little guest house called the Mobley Hotel. In 1919, a banker came into town intending to buy a local bank. He sought lodging at the little guest house, and as he was waiting to check in, he noticed what a busy place it was. There were hundreds of oil field workers renting the rooms in shifts. Well, fate intervened for this banker. His bank deal fell through, and his original plan was disrupted. So instead, he bought the hotel. And it's a true story of how Conrad Hilton started his business right here in Texas. From that one purchase, he expanded into Texas and beyond, going on to become an internationally recognized brand with a rich history of trying bold ideas. In 1927, Hilton was the first American hotel to offer cold running water and air conditioning. In 1947, the first hotel in the world to offer TV sets in guest rooms. In 2009, Hilton went green, and the program conserved enough energy to power over 6,000 homes a year. Think about the ROI impact on that one. And even just last year, they unveiled their digital key, allowing honors members to bypass the front desk, check in, and access their rooms through their smartphone. There is one thing that Hilton has proved that it can do well: it listens. They notice what matters to their customers, solving their pain points, and providing solutions that boldly communicate their care and concern for their customer. Maybe you've also noticed that with all these examples, the situations and circumstances that Hall, Paxson, and Hilton found themselves in, they turned them into opportunities. Disruption becomes less about causing chaos and trouble when you look at finding the possibility. And notice, you don't have to be at the end of your rope, although Paxson and Hall were. Sometimes you're okay where you're at. Hilton was a banker before the Depression. But his disruption, the Mobley Hotel, came out of nowhere and went on to become synonymous with hospitality. So if you've been to RetailNOW before, you've heard me share a little bit about my background growing up in Pennsylvania and coming to the point of sale industry after a career spent in a very different place, the financial industry. But what I haven't shared broadly is the story of my 180, the situation that caused me to do my about face in 2007. I'd been in the financial services industry for 17 years, with half of them with GE. And I had a good job, it paid well, I was energized by the smart people that I worked with, but I felt really uninspired. I mean, how much fun is it to wake up and go to work every day to make money for an insurance company? So it caused me to start really being very introspective, and questions began to creep into my mind about what was I really meant to do with my career. I did know one thing: I wanted to further my education and get my master's degree. So I attended an information session on an executive program at Georgetown University. The person selling the program, its founder, was Dr. Bob Bees. Now that name may be familiar to some of you. He was with us in January at Inspire. But during that session, he asked us, what's your passion? What's your purpose? And those questions echoed the feelings that were already in the back of my head. So between the Dr. Bees spiel and the fact that I could earn my master's in 1 year, well, I was sold. So I went home, filled out the application, and in short order completed the interview process and was accepted. I mean, I was thrilled. Look at this place. Who doesn't want to spend time there, you know? I convinced my husband, Brad, who's super supportive, that this total disruption would be worth the investment of both time and money, and I enrolled. And I have to tell you, 2007, the year of my EML, my master's program, was truly life-changing for me. I had some of the most brilliant professors, but equally, maybe even more educational, was the time I spent with the 43 other individuals in my cohort. They ranged in age from 27 to 57, and these were people I probably would have never gotten to know otherwise. Military officers, public servants, individuals from corporate America, not-for-profits, and healthcare. Together, we learned lessons of leadership on the battlefields of Gettysburg. I scored an invite to the White House when the Queen of England came to visit, and throughout the year, I learned and listened from the vast collective experience of my cohort. It was truly an exceptional and very self-reflective experience. And on December 1st, 2007, I was the first person in my entire extended family to earn an advanced degree. It was a very proud moment. I had disrupted everything. I had a new outlook and big questions. Now what am I supposed to do with all this? But I'm gonna ask you to hold that thought for a minute, because what's the saying? Life is what happens when you're making other plans. 6 weeks later exactly, my husband Brad and I received a call that our son was born. And we better fast track ourselves to Texas to meet the little man. Yeah, Texas, talk about foreshadowing. And talk about disruption and having to find new ways of doing things as you embrace what's coming at you. Well, dear baby Braden helped us earn a PhD that year. But we did it. In the midst of all of it, because it wasn't enough going on, I was presented with the opportunity to leave the world of financial services to help bring to life a groundbreaking program that was funded by the Gates Foundation. It was something I had never been exposed to before: global health and diseases of poverty. But having had my Georgetown experience, in which I learned ways to connect what seems to be disparate ideas and people together, I was intrigued by the idea of taking old lessons and using those to see if we could overcome barriers that had existed for decades. And frankly, it wasn't insurance, so it had a lot of appeal. It was time for me to put into practice what I had sacrificed so much for, what we had sacrificed so much for. So I made the choice and changed my career completely. And it was a new challenge, and it was totally out of my comfort zone, but I took the experiences I had gained in the corporate sector, and I used those to help me view my new world through a different set of lenses and help bring a different perspective to what they were trying to accomplish. It's what I try to do each and every day at RSPA. So what does this all mean for you? Well, I would encourage you not to leave what you're doing. You are so bright and fun, and our society really needs you to continue supporting the world of commerce the way that you do. However, I will encourage, actually strongly suggest, that you challenge yourselves. We all need to challenge ourselves to adopt some of the habits and practices of those who have disrupted their marketplace, like Hallmark, HSN, and Hilton. I'm not suggesting you completely blow up your business, but to challenge us all to think about what we can do better and how we can do it better. So I'm gonna give you 4 suggestions as we go on this journey. First, look inward. Self-reflection is hard. It's so much easier to see what others are doing that's good and bad, but to truly evaluate yourself, it's much more difficult. Number 2, ask the right questions. There is power in the word why. Take a look at the fundamentals. Is there a purpose behind this practice, Or are we doing it because it's just the way we've always done it? Sometimes this happens by accident. When you bring a new person onto the team, their unique experience is an advantage for you in a way that may not be so obvious. I mean, of course, they're going to help you enhance how you deliver service or operate, but they can also help you look at your current processes differently because just naturally they'll ask why. Third, identify the pain points for your customer. Do you understand what their everyday struggles might be? Seek the opportunity to help them solve what keeps them awake at night. This can be implementing a new product or a service, or maybe saving them money through pricing, but it can be so much more. Would they benefit from your insight on how to provide custom experiences for their end users? So whether you're a hotel chain, sell can openers, or a POS bar, we can all benefit from this mindset. Help solve our customers' needs. And in developing solutions, remember the last and most important part of this, which is number 4, follow through. Deliver. Because without delivery, the disruption means nothing. It's actually completely worthless. My brother, he's the big idea guy. We laugh all the time. He could have made millions of dollars. He loves to think of new and better ways to solve problems, but his delivery on those ideas is zilch. If you can't, you won't, you don't deliver, it's meaningless. Larry Bossidy was one of GE's top executives and the right hand to Jack Welch for many years. He wrote a book called Execution, and in that book he shares the missing link between execution is the missing link between aspirations and results. Follow through, do the work, make it happen. RSPA's roots are over 67 years old. This organization began as a revolution to allow a small group of cash register dealers to stand up to the big guys who dominated a market and wanted things to stay that way. Had guys like Stanley Heyman or Lou Rosenstock or Matty Berger been satisfied with the status quo and not seen the opportunity in challenging how cash registers could be sold, we may not be sitting here today. Their disruption changed everything about the industry. Through the last 6 decades, there's been much more disruption and change, some happening to the organization, and sometimes the organization to helping drive it. That continues today as we continue to move forward, to deliver, to innovate, to evolve. You all come from a great tradition. The same old words are really too limited for you and your businesses. You already know how to change to stay relevant. You are already trusted resources, and you've had to stay innovative to stay relevant to your customers. So I'm going to ask you to use your time here to discover the opportunities for disruption. Seek out the partners that you need to help you deliver for your customers. Get ready to dominate your future. That was a little better. Now, how can RSPA help you disrupt and deliver? We'd like you to make it a point to discover more about what your association can do. In the past year, we've done a few things. We've launched our new website. It's clean, easier to navigate, better reflects who we are and who we represent. And we especially like our ecosystem, the image of all the different products and services that our membership represents. We've created different tools to address new challenges. In 2015, we launched the EMV committee, and that group has provided valuable input and resources. One of the products of that group is the grid that you can find on the website of fully certified EMV solutions that are available today, and that's regularly updated. We brought our first ever professor in residence, Dr. Bob Bees, to Inspire. He was a non-traditional choice. We did activities like programs with raw eggs, and showing movie clips, yet because of his non-traditional approach, we were able to execute a top-notch education in a very impactful way. And we're still not done for sure. There's plenty ahead in the future. We'll continue to curate great content for our webinars and our magazine. We're looking at options of different ways of delivering that information. We're testing more proactive and customized contact methods to help get the content that you're interested in. We'd like to offer opportunities to meet in certain cities when we're there for different events to bring our members together locally. And we're very seriously exploring leadership development and mentoring. In fact, I'd invite any of you this afternoon to stop by the education table in the networking area to share your thoughts on mentoring and leadership. We'll continue to listen to your needs, curate, innovate, and continue to focus on delivering the connections and knowledge that you need to help accelerate your success, to help you dominate. So while you're here, don't just sit back and listen to others speak about how the industry has changed. Don't stand idly by as others forecast their ideas of what the future might hold. Have the courage to let go of what's comfortable. Try something new. Wednesday's lightning round leadership session will allow you to hear from 5 individuals, many of whom embrace that very philosophy. Look inward, consider what you bring to the table and how you can do it better, faster, smarter. What can you do to solve the pain points for your customer? Consider, actually plan, how you can and will disrupt your old way of thinking and deliver the results only you can achieve.